What's up, everybody? It's Taylor Twellman from Major League Soccer and Apple TV. The MLS regular season returned with a few surprises after the League's Cup break. Real Salt Lake, who sold some players but also brought in some new ones, I think they're a deeper team now, but they were shockingly bad at home, losing to the worst team in the league in San Jose. They also lost Chicho Arango to a hamstring injury, which only puts more salt on their wound. St. Louis City, their new group of attacking players, they score 4 goals on the road in Portland and draw. How about Sporting Kansas City and the Revolution with convincing victories as they look to make a playoff push? And tip of the cap to the Colorado Rapids. You won the third place game in League's Cup. You now get a spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2025. But this past weekend was about revenge. A rematch of two teams that have been the best in MLS for the past couple of seasons. The League's Cup final between the Columbus Crew and LAFC. So here we go with Twellman's takes. The Columbus Crew were the first team in MLS history to play in 3 cup finals in 9 months, and in large part, it's due to their form at home. In the last 42 games at home, they had only lost twice while scoring 96 goals in the process. Now, LAFC were in great form as well. They've won 18 of the last 22 and only losing once in that span. But it was against Columbus, 5-1, the worst loss in franchise history. And after that game, Steve Cherundolo said he needed to find a wrinkle. He did. Tactically, they go to 3 center backs, and in those 6 games, they've won all 6, scoring 19, only giving up 1. Would it be enough to slow down Columbus at home? Would it be enough to frustrate them? It was a, quote, bend but don't break approach from LAFC. They wanted to tire out Columbus in the first half, knowing the second half they'd hit a wall, and it almost worked. Except Cucho Hernandez. He's on the other team. 2 goals, 1 assist to give Columbus their second trophy against LAFC in less than a year. 46 goal contributions in 43 games. It is the best $10 million spent in MLS history. And you could argue by any owner in this league, and it still looks like a bargain. A complete player who plays every game as if it's his last. And in the biggest moments, he's been the guy that delivers. But the bigger point is the collective, the whole group, which leads me to the Purina Underdog of the Week. How can the reigning MLS Cup champions, the CONCACAF Champions Cup runners-up, and now the League's Cup champion be underdogs? Underappreciated, undervalued, you may ask. Which I would then reply, just follow me for a second. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is this little bit of extra. And that little bit is Wilfried Nancy. He's coached up every single player. He has given the group belief that they can do anything. He isn't scared to go for it, to make mistakes, knowing that in the long run, it will pay off. And it has. He believes he's an artist, one that believes stubbornly in the beauty of the game and entertaining the fans. And they do so every single time. But look at the cast of characters. Rudy Camacho was wanted by nobody, and yet Nancy has him looking like Cannavaro. Mohamed Farsi went from semi-pro soccer to futsal to now starting every game for him. Patrick Schulte was in college 4 years ago. Now he starts in the Olympics and he's wanted by European clubs all over the place. Sean Zawadzki was at Georgetown hoping to get an invite to an MLS club. Now he starts next to Nagbe, and Aid Morris can be sold for $4 million plus. Christian Ramirez played for 4 teams in 7 years, a journeyman with a limited profile. Yet he looks like Zlatan in Nancy's system. He started as backup goalie in a cup final. Just because. This is the same guy whose first coaching job was in Quebec in college while he was playing for a different university team at the same time. And 20 years later, he's arguably the most unique coach in MLS history. Who said the underdog is not the top dog at the same time? Our Underdog of the Week is brought to you by Purina, with a friendly reminder about the power of pets. Just like I do, spending time with your pets can reduce stress and anxiety and help keep your head in the game. It's one of the many reasons that Purina believes that people and pets are happier together. For my final point, the MLS regular season has restarted, and yet I feel like the supporter shield is done and dusted. Inter Miami came into the weekend up 4 points. They leave it up 4 points. I get that. But Miami have a game in hand on the LA Galaxy. And Messi hasn't even returned yet. Now, LA Galaxy have 6 of the last 7 games against playoff teams. Miami doesn't. Sure, LAFC could make a run, but they're 9 points behind Miami with 2 games in hand, but their schedule may just be too much to overcome. And ultimately, the question is this: will Miami slip up twice before the end of the season? I don't see it. They survived Copa America absences to Messi, Suárez, Rojas, and Gomez, to which Messi still hasn't returned yet from injury. This past weekend, they survived 2 yellows to Tomas Aviles. They still shut out Acosta and Cincinnati, the same team they lost to 6 weeks ago, 6-1. Suárez, the MLS Player of the Week, scored 2 goals in the first 7 minutes. By the way, he's got 14 goals in MLS. Class is permanent. They don't mess up. They've only lost 4 times. They're on pace to break the record set by the Revolution in 2021. They came out this year expecting to win multiple trophies, and I get it. They haven't succeeded in the previous 3 attempts. But you can mark it down. They've qualified for the playoffs, and they are not losing the Supporters' Shield lead, and they will ultimately set the record for the most points in MLS history. This week on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, we have 2 U.S. Open Cup semifinals, which includes LAFC versus Seattle on August 28th. Then Miami travel to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Fire Saturday night, and I will be in Portland for the oldest rivalry in our league as the Sounders travel to Oregon for what should be not only an important game in their history, but also in the playoff push in the West. And that will put a bow on the Labor Day weekend.